Just letting you guys know you can listen to my No Bleeps podcast anywhere you stream podcasts or on my No Bleeps YouTube channel. Link in the description. Hey guys, it's Billy and welcome back to Sesh. Today we have got to talk about the fact that Trisha Paytas and Gabbie Hanna got together in one room, something that nobody saw coming. And some parts of this definitely got a little awkward. Trisha joined Gabbie Hanna on her podcast and she posted the episode titled Hashing It Out with Trisha Paytas. And the response has been really, really interesting, and we are going to be getting into that. I know a lot of people are really happy to see these two come together finally and talk about a lot of the stuff that's gone on between the two of them. There's been a lot of drama between them that we have talked about in the past, and this was really great to see them be able to be in a room together and not totally argue and go at each other, because that's honestly how it has felt for the last couple of years on YouTube, where they have just been making videos about each other and going after each other, and this is the first time that they're really sitting face to face, getting to talk this whole situation out that has happened between the two of them. And it's honestly just been random dramas and things from the past, like Gabbie Hanna coming out and saying to Jason Nash while Trisha was dating him that Gabbie heard that Trisha had an STD, and that was a whole thing because Trisha was so upset at Gabbie for telling Jason that, and Gabbie thought that she was just trying to be a good friend because she had heard from Shane Dawson apparently that Trisha had this STD, which she says she never had. She doesn't know why Shane said that, but Gabbie thought she had a very credible source because Shane was very close with Trisha at the time. So she told Jason to warn him, be like, hey, the girl that you're with, I heard she's got an STD, I heard she's got the herp, so I just want to let you know. And obviously that information got back to Trisha, and Trisha honestly never got over it and later mentioned it in videos that she made about Gabbie when she was going off about Gabbie, and anytime they were in drama, she was bringing it up. In the podcast, when they were talking about this situation, Gabbie was under the impression that she had apologized to Trisha about this. Trisha thought otherwise, and it got very uncomfortable very quickly.
Because I think I was having breakdowns online, and you're like, why don't you want to be my friend? And I was like, this is why. And then you were just like, oh, I'm not sorry. And then, okay, whatever. And then I was like,
I didn't say I wasn't sorry. I said sorry.
No, not in those initial
in the
DMs.
DM, I said like,
you're like, I don't think I did anything wrong. That's a friend.
Well, no, I think the problem was my apology was also followed up with a, like, I was looking out for a friend. Mm-hmm. And that definitely comes off as like, I'm sorry, but here's the reason.
Now, in terms of how this podcast even came to be, Gabbie had texted Trisha and asked her if she wanted to be on the podcast, and Trisha said that she literally was showing everybody the text message because she literally couldn't believe that Gabbie was texting her asking her to do this and that they were going to actually have this conversation face to face. And she says that, you know, she's been super mean to Gabbie, so she was a little shocked by this, and she honestly admired the fact that Gabbie wanted to have this conversation. And Gabbie said that she's been wanting to talk to Trisha. She's always liked Trisha as a person, and she saw a lot in Trisha that she felt like the world was not ready to see yet, because every time she was having a kitchen floor breakdown or whatever it was, she felt like she understood Trisha in that moment, and she just wanted to be a friend to Trisha, and she's the person that understands the negativity that is surrounding their job. And the two of them start talking about their relationship, and Gabbie said that this should have happened a long time ago, the two of them talking in person. And Trisha says that they talked a little before the podcast, and says that she didn't know if it was a good or a bad thing that they had talked before the podcast because it made her feel for Gabbie more like a human being. And she said that she wanted to come in and be truthful, and she didn't want to be kissing Gabbie's butt or anything like that. Some of the comments are kind of calling Trisha out on the way that she is in this podcast. It seems like the two of them have very different perceptions about what happened between the two of them and their past and all this stuff. Like, Gabbie has a very different view than Trisha, and everything has seemingly slipped Trisha's mind. She's like no recollection of it, which we will get into in a minute. But Gabbie says that she had to be honest, and she says that She doesn't watch Trisha's content anymore, which is sad because she said that she was one of her biggest fans at one point in time, but she had to stop watching Trisha because the content was quite upsetting because Trisha was talking about her quite a bit. And Trisha says that it was actually the opposite for her, that once her and Gabbie started having drama, she then actually started watching Gabbie's videos, but she wasn't really watching Gabbie before that. And she says that she was honestly watching just to see if Gabbie was going to be talking about her, and she felt like she was hate watching. She came onto the podcast to see Gabbie's perspective on basically what has happened between the two of them, and also get Gabbie's feelings towards the internet backlash that she has received in the past. They talked about Gabbie's struggles with internet drama, and Trisha says that she never really let the internet affect her, and that she doesn't think the internet is real. She thinks the internet is fake. She says the only people that have caused her a real breakdown were people that she knew in person, whereas Gabbie has breakdowns because of people coming for her. And Trisha says like she feels for Gabbie for a lot of their drama, including coming for her sister at one point in time on TikTok. Gabbie's little sister made a TikTok that was saying, "Oh, you think you can hurt my feelings? Well, I'm Gabbie Hanna's little sister." And Trisha commented and did not say something very nice, and Trisha then on the podcast apologizes for ever coming for Gabbie's little sister. And Trisha says that she feels like she never really apologizes for things, and Gabbie says, "Yeah, you do, just not to me." Then they get into Gabbie saying that she understands Trisha, which honestly is a bigger conversation because it seems like Gabbie felt like she was more of a friend to Trisha than Trisha ever thought that she was with Gabbie. And they get into a further debate about their closeness, about how close they were before they even had drama. And prior to this podcast, Trisha was saying things during their drama like, "Gabbie is obsessed with me, she harasses me, she's always texting me, she's always calling me," and making it seem like Gabbie was doing literally the most and just doing all of this unwarranted, and Gabbie was like crazy or something for calling Trisha and all of this stuff and inviting herself to her birthday. And Gabbie was saying things like, "Well, we did text and you did invite me to your birthday and we did talk about things, and you would text me like, 'Oh, I saw this in your video and I bought it because you were wearing it.'" And Gabbie was basically just saying, "I thought we were friends and you clearly did not see it that way when you were making videos about me." Trisha says that she can't even imagine ever saying that they were close friends. And Gabbie says that she does have receipts of Trisha communicating with her and calling her and being friendly, but Trisha does not recall this at all and tries to deny it at times.
I was just, I guess, confused by was like the idea that like we had never spoken, and like I invited myself to your party, where like that was another feeling where like I went back and like looked at the messages to make sure I wasn't crazy. Like we talked a lot, and like
I don't remember it. Really swear to God, because I'm like here in person. I don't remember it that way. Like I just remember being like, "You're like, oh, you're having a party." Like that's what. And I sent you the invite, of course, but I don't remember talking like that. I didn't even like ask you about the party. You just sent me the invite
because we were like friends. Like we talked about relationships. Maybe I like read too much into it, but like we talked quite a bit. Send me tags like about how like, "Oh, I bought this shirt because you wore it in your video. I bought this necklace because you wore it in your video."
Oh,
and, like,
damn. Okay.
Like you've like tweeted before that like every time me and Gabbie hang out, we never get a selfie together. And I'm like we were friends. I thought
maybe these are like Photoshop tweets, because I definitely never said
no,
that.
they're still up.
I need to see these tweets. There's no way I tweeted that.
Look them up after.
Some comments have actually called Trisha out on this, and they've said things like, "It's crazy how much Trisha only has receipts when it benefits her," and she's all like, "I don't remember," to Gabbie. "I hate that." Someone else said, "I think Trisha is scared and awkward, but is trying to push through the interview and does want to move on, but also doesn't feel like she was in the wrong. So it's going to be hard for them to actually move on." For some reason, Trisha does not want to say or admit that her and Gabbie were actually friends at one point in time, and even go as far to say is that some of the things that Gabbie is saying, like Trisha calling her, is like a scam or something, and making her feel crazy.
I can't imagine myself ever being like, yeah, we were close friends. So that, I think that's what was weird too, is you're like, we were close friends, we talked all the time, and I was like, oh, did we? And then with
I don't know if we said we were close friends.
And Keemstar, you're like, yeah, she called me a couple weeks ago, and I
was
just
like, call
me.
I have a screenshot. That confused me too, because I got this text from a number I didn't know. It was like, "Gabbie, call me right now," and this was after I put out my video that was like about everything.
Yeah.
And I got this text from this number, like, Gabbie, call me right now. And I was like, I don't know this number. And then I got a call from Trisha Paytas, who's in my phone. But then I got a text from the other number that I didn't have saved being like, it's Trisha, call me now. Like right after you had called me.
Well, I mean, that's just an obvious scam.
I don't know.
Moses, that was like, I would never.
But like the number that came through that was calling me said Trisha Paytas. And then the other number said, it's Trisha, call me.
I don't know.
So yeah, I don't know.
It's obviously one of those scams.
And I just don't think that Trisha wants to admit that her and Gabbie were friends, because then all the things that she did say about Gabbie would just be like a million times worse, because she was saying all those things about someone who she used to be friendly with. People were pointing out they felt like Trisha was not being her real self in this interview, and she kept saying things like the internet isn't real, and not understanding why Gabbie would let certain comments and people saying things about her affect her mentally. And a lot of people were just like, Trisha, you talk about things and get angry about things all the time that happen on the internet, but suddenly when Gabbie is saying that something is hurting her feelings on the internet, you're like, the internet is not real, I don't understand it. And comments like, Trisha comes off as insensitive here, but I think it's a defense mechanism. She often seems like the most offended, hurt, dramatic person on the internet, but now it's just the internet? I'm confused, I guess. Gabbie later admits that she does think at the end of the day that she always thought her and Trisha were closer than she probably actually was, because Trisha is a very open person and she vents a lot. She's very open about things that she's going through, and Gabbie felt like she knew her on a friend level, on a very close level, because Trisha was telling her these personal things, where in Trisha's mind this is just Trisha being Trisha and not necessarily Trisha being a really close friend to someone. She's just expressing stuff that she was going through because she's very open with everyone, and Gabbie interpreted that as them being really close. So when Trisha was saying that she was upset at her and all of this stuff, making these videos, Gabbie was extra hurt and extra confused by all of the stuff that Trisha was saying, because she thought that they had this good friendship, when in reality Trisha was like, we're not friends, like I'm like that with everyone. The overall vibe of this entire conversation is that I don't know if they're going to be besties, but I am happy to see them being civil, talking this out, really having this mature conversation. I mean, it's like an hour-long podcast, you know, if you take it all the ads, that they were able to sit down and have a conversation, hash things out, discuss their past, and it not be like this crazy, angry fight. Trisha didn't walk out like she has in the Frenemies podcast. I really am happy to see these two girls work it out, and this is like a really good start, I think, for just a lot of people that are in drama, that they can work out their issues. And who knows, one day maybe we'll see Jeffree and Trisha do this, or Shane and Trisha do this. Oh goodness gracious. But I want to know what you guys think. Did you guys watch this episode? And I definitely want to know what you think about the comments that they have received on this episode about some of the things that Trisha has said. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye guys, I love you.